Good morning, or is it good afternoon? It's 12 o'clock, so we're halfway in between, aren't we? It's Jim here at Tutor2. Welcome to our latest live revision session for AQA, A-Level Business. And I thought what we'd do today is just do a quick fire, 30 minutes or so, picking on some of the topics that are in the advanced information for Paper 1 on Wednesday. And we're not going to go through exam questions because we've got a big session tomorrow night in the Grade Booster course where we're going to unpick some possible 25 markers, and we've just done a session going through loads of 9 markers, so I thought we'd just mix it up a bit today and do some revision activities and looking at a variety of models and theories and a whole bunch of stuff that we'll try and do in the next 30 minutes, 35 minutes or so. So we've got loads of people joining us live, so welcome to you all. Use the live chat to have a go if you wish at the questions. I might throw in some supplementary questions because I have a feeling that you're going to be on top of these topics. 1 or 2 calculations, so you might want to grab hold of your phone or a calculator and have a go at those, or just do it in your head, or maybe do workings, or however you want to do your calculations. So it's not an exam. So should we get going? Why not? Don't forget this is recorded, so you'll be able to watch this again, time and time again if you wish. And also on the tutor2.net live archive and the Grade Booster course, Grade Booster Online, you'll be able to download the PowerPoint when this session is finished. And well, let's have a go, shall we? Let's get straight into our first activity, which is called the Data Lab. And that's how I used to look before I lost all my hair. That's how I wish I did look. But only kidding. Let's just do a couple of activities where we're analysing and calculating some data. And the first one, he says, getting the clicker ready, is on budgeting. Okay, so this one does have a little timer on it with a bit of music in the background. I think the timer is a minute to have a go. And here we're given some information on budget variances for 2 years, 2020 and 2021. And using that data, can you tell me please what the difference was in the profit variance between 2020 and 2021? Have a go. So don't forget, we were given the variances there in the table. We weren't given the values for sales and costs. And that's why I wanted to have a look at this question, just in case, because budgets and variances could come up in paper one, and you won't always be given just the underlying data, the sales, the costs, and the profit. You might be told what the variance was. And therefore, we need to know that the variances, the sales and the cost variances add up to the budget variance. So some people have been sort of taking away costs, sales take away costs to work out a different variance, but those were the variances on the table. So I just wanted to go through that question just as a sort of, not a hard way to start the session, but just to sort of highlight the fact that you have to be careful. You have to read the tables carefully. For example, if you get a calculation question on variances, it might say the variances were as follows, rather than necessarily the tables with the data in it. Favourable, my WADA stands for, F stands for favourable. So you'll either have adverse for A, F for favourable. Anyway, just looking at that data, those were the variances themselves. We weren't told what the actual sales and costs were. And we can see that there was an adverse profit variance. So it's the sales variance less the cost variance. That's the profit variance of 18k in 2020. There was a favourable profit variance in 2021 of 16k. Therefore, the difference between the two, with moving from adverse of 18 to a favourable of 16, that's a difference of 34. So there we go. Right, a slightly easier one to start with. That was quite a tough one. I don't think it gets any harder than this, but it depends how you feel about return on capital employed and gearing. So we've got another table here with some information about a business. We're given its return on capital employed, 40%. We're told what the profit is, profit for the year, profit, net profit, and we're also told what total equity is. So 2 questions this time. What is the value of non-current liabilities based on that data? And also, what is the gearing ratio? So 2 things to work out here, the value of non-current liabilities and the gearing ratio. Have a go, another minute. Give you a bit longer on that one because there are 2 calculations to do there. And in fact, well, certainly question 1 requires 2 parts. So this could be a 3 or a 4 mark question, for example. One of those 2 4-mark questions that you get after the MCQs in paper 1. And it's quite a challenging question, but what it really does is encourage you to sort of manipulate the formula first for return on capital employed and then for gearing, or to use the information found in the first part in question 1 to work out gearing. I'll give you a bit more time here. And just whilst we're working that one out, Ellie's asking, how do you work out non-current liabilities? Well, we know that we need to work out capital employed here, don't we? Because we know that capital employed is total equity plus non-current liabilities. So as we'll see in a second, non-current liabilities is the missing number in question 1. We've got everything else we need. Louis come in with an answer there, 510,000 for non-current liabilities and 36.4% for gearing ratio. And that's the first answer that's come in that I think looks pretty accurate. Should we have a look at, let's have a look at how we work this one out. So let's take a look here. Well, first of all, well done, Louis, by the way. You were first in the live chat there. So don't forget the formula for return on capital employed is profit divided by capital employed, isn't it? Expressed as a percentage. Well, we're given that number, 40%. So we know what the answer is, 40%. And we know what the top part of the formula is, 560. So what is the capital employed? It gives you a return on capital employed of 40%. If profit is 560, well, it must be 1.4 million, 11400, isn't it? Now, that's the capital employed number. And don't forget, capital employed has two parts: total equity and non-current liabilities. And sometimes you won't be given capital employed. You might have to work it out. So that was the difference, 510,000. So there are two parts to that calculation. And then we would then go on to use non-current liabilities in our gearing ratio. Yeah, return on capital employed can be calculated with operating profit or profit for the year. It's typically, it depends which profit number they give you, but either will be fine. So that's absolutely fine. So let's look at the next part of it, gearing. Well, that is the simple ratio of non-current liabilities divided by capital employed. Don't forget, always expressed as a percentage, 36.4 or 36.43%. Good stuff. Right, okay, well, that's our couple of calculations to get us going. Now, the next activity takes us into a different area of the advanced information for paper one, and it's an activity called Impossible 5. I'm not sure whether you've done this one before, but it's quite a good way of revising lots of different parts of the specification that could come up. And basically, I'm going to show you, we'll have two goes at this. It's easier to explain when you see it in action, if you know what I mean. But basically, there are two parts of the question, and I'm only going to give you the first part of the question, not the last part of the question. Let me explain. So this question is in two parts, and the first part is given to you there on the screen. This perspective in Kaplan and Norton's balanced scorecard, ... But we don't know what the rest of the question is. However, just from that part one, you can eliminate the impossible 5, i.e. the 5 answers that simply can't be correct. So what do we think? Can you put maybe either type in the words, or probably quicker, the grid references of the 5 answers out of those 9 that are shown there that cannot be correct, simply can't be correct, because the question starts with this perspective in Kaplan and Norton's balanced scorecard ... So Alex is going for the ones that he thinks could be correct, rather than spotting the impossible 5, which must be the other 5. So you've gone for the 4. So Mona's saying restraining forces. Archie's picked out flux, A3, as being an impossible, one of the impossible 5. Simran's saying flux as well. What do we think? Any more? Sochi's going for B1 and B2. That's organisational capacity and keep satisfied. Ria's going for maturity as being one of the impossible 5. Tom, A3, A1, B3. What else have you gone for there? B2 and C2. That looks right to me. I think, Tom, along with us, I think yours is the first one. So let's have a look, shall we? I'll show you the impossible 5 on the screen there. Those are the 5 that can't be the right answer. And just before I show you part 2, where does flux come from? Which model? Anyone type it into the live chat? Where does flux come from? There is a model that uses the word flux. Yeah, Zaina's first in this time with strategic drift. Self-interest, where does that come from? Whose model talked about self-interest? People are still answering where did flux come from, I'm guessing. Self-interest comes from Kaplan and Norton. And so I'm not talking about Costa and Schlesinger. We're talking about Kaplan and Norton. Good stuff. Anyway, so the last part of the question. So this is where you see the second part of the question. Let's have a look. So which perspective in Kaplan and Norton's balanced scorecard would be measured by data such as unit costs or the lead time for new products? What do we think? Yeah, Ria said that restraining forces, that can't be right because that is, well, actually it's not from Cotta, it's actually from Lewin. But it is one of those change management models. So which perspective would be measured by data such as unit costs? And yeah, Harry and Athic and a few others spotting very quickly in there. Yeah, the correct answer is internal processes. So don't forget there are four parts to the balanced scorecard. And the basic idea is measuring business performance in a variety of different ways, in addition to, not just financially. So a quick bit of revision on the balanced scorecard. Could be a 25 marker, could just as easily be a 1 mark MCQ, could be a 9 marker actually. It's possible. Internal processes is really all about business efficiency. So we look at things like unit costs, how quickly we can get new products out there. Whereas, for example, financial is your classic financial ratios like return on capital employed, like gross profit margin. Good stuff. Right, should we do another one of these? Slightly different topic this time. So here is the first part of the question. An increase in this financial ratio. So which of those 5 are impossible? Which of those 5 are impossible? Five of those are not financial ratios. A couple of Norton, someone is asking which unit that's in. That's in 3.7, isn't it? Measuring internal performance of the business alongside Elkington's triple bottom line. Okay, I think loads of great answers coming through here. Callum's gone for 1B. Armand's gone for A3. Yeah, A3 isn't a financial ratio, correct. Sana's going for 2A. Yeah, market share, and A3, market growth rate. Superb stuff, yeah. So the ones that can't be correct, the impossible 5 in this case, are those 5. Payback period, which of course isn't examined this year. But I put it in because it's an impossible answer, as well as not being a topic to be examined. Market share, market growth rate, employee retention ratio, and critical path. Those other 4 are examinable. But they're not a financial ratio. So here's part 2 of the question. An increase in this financial ratio would suggest a worsening of financial efficiency. So from the 4 that are left, those 4 ratios, which are financial ratios, which one of those would suggest a worsening of financial efficiency? What do we think? A worsening, an increase in this ratio. Freddie, you're asking about our exam boards ignoring advanced information. This is a rumour, and it's a very unfortunate rumour that's going around. There's absolutely no evidence that I've seen that any of the exam boards are ignoring advanced information. So just do not believe it. Okay, I'm a member of Facebook groups with thousands, tens of thousands of teachers and exam officers, and it's not been mentioned once, and neither would it be, because the advanced information is checked by the JFQ. So just do not believe the rumours that advanced information isn't being applied, because it is. End of. So yeah, let's have a look. So, and the answer, of course, I think most people got this, C3. So yeah, an increase in receivables days, that would be bad news, wouldn't it, from a financial efficiency point of view, because it means that customers are paying longer to pay the amounts that they owe the business. That's a worsening of financial efficiency, whereas an increase in inventory turnover, which is the only other efficiency ratio mentioned there, that would be good news. That would be more efficient use of inventory. Gross margin is a profitability ratio. That can't be right. And current ratio is a liquidity ratio. So that can't be right. Superb stuff. Someone's asking, will investment appraisal definitely not come up? It's not in the advanced information. It's actually explicitly excluded from the advanced information. That's not just a part of the specification, but also quantitative skill QS6, which is the same quantitative skill across all exam boards for Ofqual, for AQA. Calculating investment appraisals and interpreting results is not examined in any of the 3 papers. So whilst you can use investment appraisal concepts, return on investment, in your answers if it's relevant, you won't be given a question on it. Superb stuff. Right, we'll move on to a quick calculation. We're just going to do one of these. Break even. This one is on a gents hairdresser. You've got a minute to calculate, just using the data in the table there, plus we're told some information in the stem of the question about how the salon, the hairdressing salon, does 18,000 haircuts per year. So we're using that information and the table. Can you work out, please, the break-even number of haircuts per year and the margin of safety in terms of haircuts or units? Have a go. Wouldn't it be amazing if we had that music playing in the exam hall on Wednesdays? We were doing those calculations, or maybe for each multiple choice question. That was a minute, so it just shows you how long a minute is. But actually, lots of people were very quick into the live chat with correct answers, looking at it. And so let's look at the answer, because it looks like you've you smacked it out of the park on this one. Let's get the answer on screen there. So break even, correctly identified as 13,000 haircuts. And the best way to work that one out, of course, is fixed costs divided by contribution per unit. So contribution per unit is the selling price per unit. In this case, a haircut, £14, less the variable cost per haircut of £18. Presumably £8 is items such as the shampoo, the conditioner, and the time of the hairdresser. And the fixed cost, 78,000. So we divide 78,000 by 6 is 13,000. The margin of safety, don't forget, margin of safety is actual output, haircuts, 18,000 we were told, less the break-even output. So it's 18 less 13, 5,000 haircuts. Supplementary question that you've earned, and this uses what's known as the magic formula. You can work out the profit that this business makes from the information I've given you there. So what is the annual profit that this business is making? Who can be first in? It's a simple formula that you can always work out profit from break-even numbers. What is the annual profit that this business is making? David was first in. That is super quick. £30,000. That's correct, isn't it? Don't forget, profit is always margin of safety in units times contribution per unit. Similarly, loss is always the margin of safety, which will be negative, times by the contribution per unit. So well done for getting 30 for that supplementary question. Superb stuff. Now, that's it for calculations, I think. Let's move on to a couple of chilly quizzes. And here we're going to pick a couple of important topic areas in paper one and give you a choice of questions. You can either choose the mild question, relatively straightforward, the spicy question, or if you're feeling brave, the hot question. Or you can have a go at all three, but you've only got about 45 seconds. So your choice, all you need to do is just say mild, then your answer, spicy, then your answer, or hot, then your answer. You get the idea? So here is the first set of questions, and these are all on efficiency ratios, specifically the trade payables days efficiency ratio, which was, as we know, is one of those areas that's not been massively examined in the last 6 years, but is an important ratio. So have a go. You choose which question you ask, you answer. You can read them yourself. So over to you. It was a whole minute actually, wasn't it? It wasn't 45 seconds. Superb stuff. Some great answers there in the live chat. One of the first question there, the mild question, what does the trade payables ratio show? A couple of people in the live chat gave me the formula, which is fine. That is how it's calculated, but it's really about what does it show? What does it say? Is really, I think, where that question was. But of course, you can use the formula to help explain, because the formula tells you the average time it takes for a business to pay what it owes to its suppliers, how long it takes before it finally gets around to paying its bills. And of course, that's a source of finance, isn't it? Trade payables from our suppliers. It's a free source of finance. Therefore, in theory, you take as long as is sensible. A spicy question asked for 2 ways you could increase that ratio. Well, one is to simply delay payment. Even when it's due, just don't pay it. And a lot of businesses do that, of course. And perhaps a better way is to sit down with the supplier and negotiate a longer trade credit period to say, please, can we agree to pay you after maybe another week or 2, or maybe longer, maybe in the short term because you haven't got enough cash. You've got some liquidity problems. And I just wanted to show you, let's see if I can do this on screen here. Can I add this to the... I can. Look at this. Look at this for an answer on HOT from Sochi this time. HOT, if you increase payables days, you may gain a reputation for exploitation of suppliers. E.g. Tesco. That's exactly what happened. In fact, the Tesco's had a terrible reputation for paying its farming suppliers and other suppliers too late, taking too long to pay them. And therefore you may lose custom and revenue. I just thought that was a fantastic response there. So one consequence of that is suppliers may refuse to supply the business if you just don't pay your bills. Or alternatively, of course, the supplier may say, sorry, you're not paying your bills. I'm going to increase the price. So you can take as long as you want or take however long you're taking, but the price you'll be paying for what we supply you is going to be higher. Therefore, gross margin will be lower. Superb stuff. Well done, Sochi, in particular there. Let's see whether we might be able to pick out 1 or 2 more contributions in our next chili quiz. This one is a different area of paper 1. This one's about centralization and decentralization. So you've got a minute to read the questions, choose which one you want to have a go, and see what you think to the answers. Have a go. Some great answers here coming in, really good. So I'll just show you. I'll show you what I came up with. I've picked one out just from the live chat as well, just to show you the answers that are coming in. By the way, there were some great answers also came in on the previous one, which I didn't get a chance to put on the screen. So decentralization. Don't forget, this is where you spread decision making away from the center, away from head office. For example, you might give junior managers further down the organizational hierarchy more decision-making power, authority, or it could be decentralized to different locations, for example, different business units, different shops. So in other words, moving power away from the center, away from the top, in particular, of the business. And now an advantage of decentralization to a supermarket chain, this is where we might be able to use some such as seasoning here. We'll have a go at that in a few minutes' time. A good way of applying the concept of decentralization to a context, in this case, a supermarket chain. So a possible answer here is that store managers and staff may be better placed, better able to respond to local market conditions. For example, being able to respond to local pay rates, maybe for hiring in temporary staff or for buying in local suppliers for the supermarket. shops or the stores. And a situation where centralization is better. Don't forget, the textbooks often argue that decentralization is better, but of course it might not be in some situations. And we had some great examples coming in. In fact, even more as I speak about some situations where actually centralization is better. Which was the one I just picked out there? Let's have a look. It's Shazeb's suggestion. This is one of the early ones in the live chat. There have been some equally good ones coming in to the live chat since I picked this one out. This idea that there will be some situations, perhaps during a significant retrenchment of a business, or where the business is in a crisis, where you need quick decision making, strong leadership. You don't have time really to allow everyone throughout the organisation or in all the different units to make decisions. So speed of decision making. There will be some situations where centralisation may well be a better approach, and also consistency of decision making. So there could be some decisions that you want to be made centrally because it makes sense to make them centrally so that every unit is the same. For example, pricing. If the product is the same in every unit, why allow every unit to set different prices if you want to be consistent about pricing? Good stuff. Excellent. Those are excellent answers on the chili quiz. Let's just do some quick fire give me twos here. Let's cover 3 or 4 parts of the specification. So this time you only have 30 seconds. This is where I reach for my my guitar and my bongo drums to play a bit of music for you as you give me 2 elements of Hackman and Oldham's model of job design. I'm actually playing the music here. You can't see me. Loads of answers coming in. Well done. Let's have a look. I think I put 3 on the. Let me get the answers on the screen. I put 3 on, anticipating that you would be easily able, as Alex has in the live chat, to give me all 5. So yeah, skill variety, autonomy, task significance. What else have we got in the live chat there? Job feedback and task identity would be the other 2, wouldn't they? Superb stuff. Now, don't forget Hackman and Oldham. It's only examinable in paper 1, not specifically in paper 2 or specifically in paper 3. And it's part of this area around organisational design, in particular flexible working. And we did a 9 marker, didn't we, in our last Grade Booster session? In fact, I'm recording the videos to all the 9 markers that we did this afternoon. So they'll be on the Grade Booster course for you to see some worked examples of every one of those 9 markers, including we did 1 or 2, didn't we, on job design and flexible working. Good stuff. Right, have a go at this one then. So please give me 2 benefits of just-in-time production for a car manufacturer. Over to you. More great answers coming in. Well done. And even better, some answers there actually talking about, although I don't think my answers do, give me some sort of such as seasoning, some specific examples for a car manufacturer. I've just put 3 on the screen there. So we had a question in the live chat there, just going back to our Hackman and Oldham model to say what topic areas or what questions could this be linked to. Well, clearly you could get a question, maybe an MCQ on Hackman and Oldham. You could link it, of course, to motivation. But don't forget, motivation specifically isn't examined in paper 1 or paper 3, but it is paper 2. A pretty hot topic for a case study in paper 2. But you can always bring Hackman and Oldham into the whole issue of motivation. And also, it's also very relevant to the whole idea of labour productivity and efficiency. as well as flexible organisations, which of course is examinable in paper 1. So Hackman and Oldham, so a nice model to use, or just to bring in to use in your analysis, as we've seen in our 9-mark questions. Some great answers coming in here. Yeah, JoJo saying you don't have to hold stock, less wastage, and usually with less waste, that's lower cost, therefore increased lower costs as well as lower inventories held, increased productivity, nothing's hanging around, you're not waiting. Usually just-in-time production is highly efficient, highly timed, very complex. No one's hanging around waiting. The robots generally aren't hanging around waiting. Neither are the people who manage them. How do you manage a robot? Who look after them? But also it's associated with higher quality. And typically that's because there's less that can go wrong, because just-in-time is so incredibly complex, but well organised. Of course, it has its issues, which is what happens when the supply chains start falling apart. And of course, one of the issues with car manufacturers is that because of what's happened in particular in China, not exclusively, there's been a worldwide shortage of microchips and other components for car manufacturing, which has caused all kinds of chaos in car factories, and therefore lower productivity. Good stuff. Saatchi has given us a really good definition of or explanation of just-in-time production, about how it's all about the inputs in the production process arriving as and when they're needed. Therefore, you don't have the big benefit of lower inventories. One of the benefits of just-in-time is that you haven't got cash tied up in inventories, in particular in working capital. Superb stuff. Right, and I think we've got one more. 2 consequences, please, of poor quality. Over to you. Let's see what we've got here. I'll stick a few of these on the screen. These look fantastic. Let's go back to Jack's. I like that one. Let's stick Jack's on the screen there. Poor brand image. And a consequence might also be an increase in the cost of quality control. More quality control checks needed. Therefore, costs rise. Loving that one. What else we got here? Let's pick a few more out. These are fantastic. Oh yeah, Harrison, what a reply this is. High level of returns. Customer returns, depends what the situation is, of course, but it could also be returns as in after-sales service required, leading to high costs. You've also picked out the negative impact on brand image. Ellie's come up with a cracker here, which is it damages the reputation as one of the consequences, and also the costs of having to repair, to make good the poor quality. For example, warranties on products that have a warranty with them, and every product usually has a warranty with it. Superb stuff. Some great responses coming here. Let's see if we've got any more down here. Jamie's, this looks like a good point. Let's see if I can get it on the screen there. So recalling poor quality items is very costly, especially if the business sells internationally. And that's a good point. And fixing the quality can be a costly process. Superb stuff. Love those. Let's have a look at what I came up with. I can't beat those. No doubt at all about that. There we go. So high cost of return products after sales service. So for example, a product returned under warranty, getting them fixed, replacing them, any service required. So that was in our live chat. The increased need for quality control, or imposition of quality assurance, but poor quality needs fixing. And a lot of people quite rightly pointed out the loss of business reputation. And actually in the longer term, that's the most serious, isn't it? I mean, you can usually fix a broken washing machine, but if your reputation is for broken washing machines, it's quite hard. You have to spend a lot of money convincing the market that your washing machine works. You have to put a spin on it, really, don't you? Or maybe more than a spin on it. Superb stuff. Right, okay, we have one activity left. I'm sorry, I've run on by 2 or 3 minutes here, but I wanted to do this, which is a bit of exam technique, which I highly recommend you practice to use in all of your responses, apart from the calculations of the MCQs. This is useless when it comes to MCQs, but it's a wonderful way of adding some application into your responses. And what that typically does, as we've explained in the 16 mark videos on Grade Booster and the 9 markers, as we'll do tomorrow night in our mega session on the 25 markers, such as seasoning, lifts the quality of your analysis to a different level. And it means that you don't miss out on those crucial application marks. So it's a thing called the such as seasoning spinner. And I've got a couple of these to do. So one I've got in the middle there is a sentence. And maybe it's going on to talk about increasing the contribution per unit. Whatever it is, the sentence says, this might enable the business to increase the selling price of its products. Now that's a vanilla piece of analysis, isn't it? So we would need to add in some application, and that's why we use such as. If you've not come across this before, that's why we use such as. So which one is it going to be? So we need a context here, and it could be one of those 6 types of businesses, and this is where it gets really exciting for me, because we get to spin the wheel, and it's probably just as exciting for you as it is for me. Let's spin the wheel. There it goes. Round and round it goes. Where it ends, nobody knows, except it stopped on the cycle shop. So this might enable the business to increase the selling price of its products, such as. So give me some such as products in a cycle shop, please, into the live chat. Give yourself 15 seconds just to complete that sentence, to add in some such as seasoning. Yeah, 6 o'clock Sunday tomorrow night for our 25 mark mega blast. Wow. Sandra's saying such as bikes, tires and helmets. Wow. Shazab, that is a beauty. Such as cycle locks and handle covers. Yeah, such as their bikes, but that's fine. Yeah, these are great. That's great. Fantastic. When I show you the example, you'll see what I mean by such as seasoning. Mohammed's going, such as bicycle accessories. Such as maintenance services for the bikes. Such as helmets and tyres. Such as after-sales products. Well, of course, that isn't... that could apply to another business, couldn't it? In theory. So we're looking for examples in such as seasoning that root the analysis in the context, in this case, of a cycle shop. So I'm on such as gloves. Fantastic. Love it. Shall we have a look and see what I came up with? Couldn't beat this. Couldn't beat yours, sorry. I said such as bikes, wheels or helmets. So if we saw that in a sentence, this might enable the cycle shop, to increase the selling price of its products, such as bikes, wheels or helmets. As Safa says, such as bike bells. Yeah, that is rooting the response in the context. And simply by using such as seasoning like that, that gets you the application marks. Ideally, in each paragraph, we're looking for 2 pieces of application. It's a very easy way under pressure in the exam to really raise the quality of every single one of your responses. And basically, we're looking to replace generic terms with industry or market specific or product specific ones. So rather than saying such as products, selling price of its products, you'd say products such as. We get the idea. Darcy's coming with high-vis jackets. Love it. Should we do another one? Let's do one more. And, well, the bike shop has disappeared and we've now got a web designer. So what do we want it to land on? Maybe just type into the live chat. What do we think? What do we want it to land in? I would want it to land, I think, on a farm shop, I think. Let's go for the car dealer. Should we have a look? I've no idea where it's going to land. That's why it's so exciting for me. It's the highlight of my afternoon. Millie thinks it's going to be the farm shop, and I think you're right. No, hang on. Wait a minute. It's not. It's gone beyond the farm shop. So this might enable the business to increase the selling price of its products, such as... So over to you. Last one. An event planner. Products of an event planner. What do we think? Nathan's straight in there with weddings, such as weddings. I'll come back to candles and flower, Sana. If the event planner is selling candles and flowers, possibly, but I said I'll come back to that with a little. Simran's going for tickets, sponsorships. Don't forget, we're talking about the selling prices of this business. The selling prices. I'll come back to some of the other elements. Zane is going catering. I'll take that. Parties, yeah, such as GTD live streams. Yeah, selling price. By the way, this is a free live stream. If anyone's not happy with it, 100% money back guarantee. Parties, planning services, fantastic invitation. Okay, so let's have a look at my suggested answer, such as conferences, meetings, and awards ceremonies. Now, the reason why I just said I'll hold fire and come back to a couple of those, this was about the selling prices of this business. Don't forget, you can also use such as seasoning to talk about costs. And sometimes it's the same thing depending on what the business does. So for example, back to our cycle shop, the selling prices of bells, tyres and high-vis jackets works for selling prices, but it also works for the variable costs of, doesn't it? Because we're buying products in and then selling them. So actually such as seasoning works for the same items. But just last one from you, event planner. We're selling conferences, we're selling planning, we're selling awards ceremonies, but what are the variable costs? What are the other costs that we could use such as? What do we think? You know what I mean? So it's not about we're buying something and then selling it on. We're actually having to incur costs to run events for people or plan events. So exactly that. Insurance, event insurance. I would, rather than saying insurance, Jack, I would say event insurance. So that roots it in the case study. Such as, so Simran's gone, such as tablecloths, chair covers and catering. That is perfect. Absolutely perfect. Let's stick that on the screen now. Let's have some examples here. This is the costs, the variable costs of such as, there we go, tablecloths, chair covers, caterings. Arjun's gone for decorations, catering staff, superb stuff. You get the idea. And the pièce de résistance, the best one I've seen so far, amongst many good ones, is from Skate Molly, such as confetti, alcohol, food and decorations. So that roots the variable cost in the case, isn't it, if we were talking about an event planner. Fantastic stuff. There we go. So I think such as seasoning, and we'll see this, well, hopefully you'll see it as you work through all the other videos we've done on the Grade Booster course. But such as seasoning is just the best way of adding in some application when you're not quite sure where to find it. If you find yourself talking about customers, products, costs, just use such as seasoning and you'll be in good shape. That is it. Sorry, I've run on a little bit. I was hoping to do it in about 40 minutes, 35 to 40 minutes, but you've had so many great contributions in the live chat. I wanted to put some of those on the screen. Well, if you found it useful, let me know in the live chat, or maybe even do that, but also give this a thumbs up on YouTube. Don't forget, with all of these things, we record the session so you can go through it again if you wish, and also download the PowerPoint. If you're on tutor2u.net/live, if you go to the archive, there are, I think, 50 or 60 live streams we've done for AQA A-Level Business, including some on the advanced information. So if you want to use those for a little bit of top-up revision over this weekend and next. The Grade Booster course, the online Grade Booster course, I would say this, but I highly recommend you taking a look at it. And I think tomorrow night's 25 marker is also available to those who preview enroll on the course, as well as all the students. I think we had about 2,000 students who came to our workshops. You just enroll, just log in. But you can preview enroll and maybe join us for tomorrow night's session, 6 o'clock, where we're going to be working our way through some possible 25 mark questions. You know, what those questions could be, unpicking the demands of the question, and then for a couple of them we'll actually walk through a suggested answer to show you the different approaches you can take, but efficient approaches you can take to answering those questions. It's been great to see you. Many thanks for taking some time out live on a Saturday lunchtime. Hope your afternoon and evening goes well, and we'll catch you on the next session. Cheers.